Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to Do Session with another video. I hope you are good, you are doing good, and you are learning well, and my efforts are helping you. So we are doing here our series on fundamental concepts in HSE. Basically, we are learning the important terminologies of HSE, and today we will discuss a new terminologies which will be hazardous substances, and then forms of the hazardous substances, the state in which they exist, and then the types of the hazardous substances based on the harmful characteristics of these substances. So, any feedback, any suggestions, if you have, please share with me. I will try to include them also as well. So, let's move to our topic and start it. Welcome to presentation, everyone. Basically, we are covering our series on fundamental concepts in HSE, in which we are understanding the key and important terminologies of occupational health, safety, and environment. And today is the part 6 of that series. So let's see into the introduction of today's video. So basically, we know that these concepts of fundamental concepts or the terminologies are very important to understand, have a good understanding of them. So we can make sure that we are contributing very positively and effectively to ensure our HSE at our organization. So let's see which terminologies we are going to cover today. So today's terminologies are very important. Basically, they are related to hazardous substances. So we will understand what are the hazardous substances, what are their forms or states they may present in, and then the types of hazardous substances as per their properties or harmful characteristics. So let's start them. So let's first define what are the hazardous substances. So they define material that can cause harm to health, safety, or environment, or chemicals or mixtures of the chemicals that pose risk to health, safety, and environment. So any substances or materials that are present at the workplace or we are using or handling them during our activities, and they can cause any sort of harm to people, environment. Those are called hazardous substances. Let's look at some asbestos. Let's these are basically nowadays they are banned, and some areas or some industries they are still being used, but very carefully. But they are very dangerous and they can cause the cancers. Then lead is example, very dangerous, can cause cancer. Silica, another hydrogen sulfide, very toxic gas basically. So it can kill you immediately. Similarly, the CO2, which is called silent killer. So these are some examples of the hazardous substances. So now let's look at some of the forms or states of the hazardous substances they may exist. Number one, gases. Any substance that exists as a gas at the room temperature or normal temperature are called the gases. So like H2S or CO2, they are very hazardous or dangerous gases. So hazardous substances do exist in this form, and this is very dangerous state as we know that this is molecules of the gas are not bound to each other. They don't have any intermolecular forces stretched, very negligible. So they disperse very quickly. That occupy all the space available. So if we any incident of the release of the hazardous gas will happen, so it will spread very quickly. Then there is a liquid state. Any substance that is liquid at the room temperature is called liquid. Acids, bases are their examples. And then there are solids. Obviously, the matter form of the matter is, hazardous substances also exist in this state. So any matter that exists as a solid at the room temperature is the called solid. Three-dimensional fixed arrangement of the molecules, non-compressible and rigid shape. The asbestos is their example. So then there is a dust form, basically a collection of the tiny solid particles suspended in the air or settled on the surfaces. Basically, these are the same solid, but in the form of small, tiny particles. They carry all the properties of the solid they are coming from. During the activities like cutting, grinding, generally they are coming from. Then fumes is another form. Tiny particles or droplets, basically. In the fume case of fumes, they may be the liquid form or the solid form, but they are when we heat something like in during the process of welding, so metals or the liquid involved, they vaporizes and then they go into the air, and when they cool down, so they condense there and they return to their form of the liquid or metal. So these called the vapor fumes. But these fumes basically may carry some dangerous gases because there are chemical processes involved, may involve like during the welding process. Then there are mist, the tiny particles of the water droplets, basically usually when the water vaporizes. So it goes up in the air, then when it cools down, so it returns to the liquid form. and the tiny particles suspend in the air like fog. So then there are vapors, basically the some gaseous form of the liquids and solids when we heat them usually. So they convert into the gas from gaseous form, which is called vapors. So hazardous substances may exist in this form. Then the smoke, which is a mixture of solids, liquid, or gaseous compounds or particles, basically. During the combustion phenomena, not all the fuel is burning completely. So the fuel, let's say partially combusted fuel particles that get excited and escape the fire phenomena or oxidation process. So they go into the air or suspend in the into the air. So they are the basically mixture of the solid particles, ash like, then gases like carbon dioxide, and then other liquids may be involved. So these are basically just some forms or states in which the hazardous substances may exist. So now let's understand some types of hazardous substances based on their harmful characteristics. So number one, flammable substances. These are liquid gases or solids which burn, if we get fire very easily and burn very quickly. Their flash points are below than 38 degrees centigrade, and they call the self-ignitable substances basically. So even without the actual ignition source, they can get the fire even just because of the increase in the temperature. Then if they are in the bulk and they get the fire, it is very difficult to control the fire, or sometimes it is very impossible. Then there are toxic substances, very hazardous. They can cause the immediate death. If they go inside the body, they destroy our internal organs or they malfunction them, so that our functions stop working and the immediate death can become like H2S gas. Then there are corrosive substances. These are the chemical, if they come in contact with our skin, they burn it or they damage it. They damage the living tissues of our skin, like acids or bases. Then there are reactive substances. These are very dangerous because if they combine together, which are reactive to each other, the metals or substances which are reactive to each other, if they combine, we combine them, they can generate very violent and uncontrolled chain reaction that can create the hazardous gases, explosions, fire like this thing, like oxidizers and fuels. Then there are biohazardous substances. Basically, these are the basically small micro living organisms. If they get into our body, they can impact our health. They can create health issues, serious health issues like TB and hepatitis and other serious diseases. So basically, these are in the forms of viruses or bacteria like coronavirus we face. So these are biohazardous substances. Then carcinogenic substances, the substances that can cause the cancer to human health, are called carcinogenic, like asbestos, benzene, etc. Then there are mutagens, which are basically the substances that have the ability to change our DNA or affect our DNA or genetic properties, like they can create the birth issues like in abnormalities in the birth. Then there are irritants. These are basically the substances, if we expose to them, they go inside or they touch with our skin. So they create the irritation on the skin like rashes, things like that. So then there are sensitizers. Basically, these are the substances that can create the allergic reactions in the humans. And these allergic level of the impact or harm varies person to person. It depends on the susceptibility or the sensitivity of each individual toward the specific chemical. We know that for some people, some chemicals are do nothing, but for others, they create severe health issues. Like some people get the dust allergy or respiratory issues. So these such chemicals or substances are called sensitizers. Then there are environmental hazards, any harmful substance or hazardous substance that can impact or harm our environment, including air, water, land, are called environmental hazards. Then asphyxiants, any substance if released in the environment will consume the oxygen. So those are called asphyxiants, and they can cause suffocation, things like that. Then there are narcotics, basically like drugs. So these are basically the substances that can create drowsiness, unconsciousness, or disorientation, and also they are mostly they can make you addict of the substance. So these are very dangerous. So these are some hazardous substances, types of hazardous substances as per their harmful characteristics. So we covered our today's topic. Basically, let's conclude it. So hazardous substances basically as any substance that is harmful to health of people or to the environment is called hazardous substance. Then that they exist in the form of solids, liquid, gases, dust, vapors, fumes, mist, etc. and their effects, they can cause cancer, other diseases, they can create the genetic problems, they can cause irritations, and or even they can destroy our environment. So that was it for today. Thank you very much for watching and thanks for your support. I hope my efforts are helping you. So until the next video, stay safe and healthy. So see you in the next video. Until then, Allah Hafiz.